Hello, welcome to Harvard Divinity School's overview. My name is Margaret Okada-Sheck, and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at Harvard Divinity School. I'm glad to be joined today by my colleague, Alessandra.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Alessandra Ludeking, and I am the admissions officer. And I'm so happy to be with you today as we chat a little bit more about Harvard Divinity School and all of our offerings and resources.
Thanks so much. Yeah, so we are going to speak to you today about Harvard Divinity School, broadly speaking, our student life, our degree programs, and information about the application and financial aid processes. So we are going to shut off our cameras so that you can focus on this presentation. And without further ado, let's go. Founded in 1816, Harvard Divinity School, the first divinity school in the United States, is a non-sectarian or non-religiously affiliated school of religious and theological studies that educates students both in the academic study of religion and in the practical skills needed for leadership in religious, governmental, and a wide range of service organizations. With more than 45 faith traditions represented in the student body, including those who are not religiously affiliated, and more than 500 recurring worship services, HDS is also the most religiously pluralistic divinity school in the world. Our mission at HDS is to educate students of religion for intellectual leadership, professional service, and ministry in service of a just world at peace across religious and cultural divides. Applicants often wonder what career paths are available to students with a religious graduate degree. Our degree programs lead to infinite pathways with alumnics in every field and industry who value ethical leadership, religious literacy, and service-oriented, mission-driven work. Graduates often describe developing skills such as deep listening, ethical reasoning, bridging divides successfully, and navigating difficult conversations as part of their experience. And now Alessandra will speak about our academic degree programs.
All right. So HDS offers a challenging and rewarding immersion in the world's faith traditions, religious studies, and theological subjects. We offer 4 degree programs and a special student program, each with their unique requirements and offerings to align with your professional or higher education aspirations. Let's start with the Master of Divinity, or the MDiv. The 3-year Master of Divinity is for 21st century spiritual leaders. Essentially, students in this program learn the arts of ministry, very broadly conceived. We spell it with a lowercase m on purpose. And this includes the arts of preaching, pastoral care, and community organizing. And our students link the theory and practice with fieldwork placements in settings around the globe. The MDiv originally prepared students for parish ministry, and it still does for those who are pursuing that vocation. But today, fewer than 40% of our MDiv graduates pursue that path. We conceive of ministry broadly, and some students in the MDiv are interested in ministry with that lowercase m I referenced earlier, which we define as service and a commitment to interreligious understanding and dialogue applicable to any career. The MDiv is a necessary credential for those interested in ordination in a faith tradition or chaplaincy, but other MDiv graduates pursue a wide range of fields where ethical leadership and interfaith competency would be an asset. And I'll go ahead and chat a little bit more about alumni outcomes later in this presentation. Our next degree program here is our Master of Theological Studies, or the MTS. This is a 2-year full-time degree that enables students to explore deeply and broadly the languages, literatures, thought, institutions, practices, the normative claims, and the structures of a variety of theological fields and religious traditions. It also enables our students to think critically with sophistication and self-awareness about the scholarly study of these concepts and traditions. 19 areas of focus allow for diverse educational interests and vocational goals. Students who enroll in the MTS are typically preparing for a doctoral program in religion or related discipline, or they're looking to approach another field or profession such as law, journalism, public policy, education, arts, or medicine from a perspective enriched by theological study. So that is our MTS. Then we have our Master of Theology, the THM. This is a one-year program and is intended for applicants who already hold an MDiv or its equivalent, about 3 years of graduate theological study. It is not designed to be the 4th year of an MDiv or as a year of further doctoral program preparation. Rather, the THM is best undertaken by students who have been doing ministry in the world, again, very broadly defined, and are now interested in exploring a topic in great depth to clarify their thinking or delve into a new topic that impacts their ministry, whatever that may be. So this slide here shows the 19 areas of focus that MTS and THM students are required to select within their first semester and in consultation with their advisors. We are excited to announce a new area of focus proposed by the HDS faculty this year, Religions of the Ancient Mediterranean. So we previously had 18 areas of focus, and this year we are offering 19. The Religions of the Ancient Mediterranean is an area of focus that focuses in on religious phenomena in the Mediterranean cultures between the 6th century BCE, which includes classical Greece and post-exilic Judaism, and the 8th century CE, including early Byzantine and early Islamic topics. Mediterranean here is taken really broadly to define extending to Persia, Western India, and as far as Northwestern Europe in some cases. So typically, a THM and MTS student will select an area from the 19 that are shown on this slide, and most applicants are interested in more than one area of focus, and it's really easy to change your initial selection once you're at HDS if you realize that another area of focus makes more sense for you. So for example, students studying Buddhist studies also engage in South Asian religious traditions, comparative studies, East Asian religions, or women, gender, sexuality, and religion. Occasionally, if a student's interests are not accommodated by the established 19 areas of focus, then the student, in conjunction with their academic advisor, may request the pursuit of an individually designed area of focus. All right. And then our 4th degree program here is the Master of Religion and Public Life, or the MRPL. And this is a one-year degree that enables experienced professionals in diverse fields to develop a deep understanding of the complex role that religion plays in their work. So through coursework, there is a shared seminar with other professionals and a final project that will deepen the understanding of religion within their fields and develop as leaders with religious literacy to effectively address critical challenges facing the world today. In addition to the MRPL, for those MDiv and MTS students who are still interested in that public life setting, we offer a certificate in religion and public life, the CRPL. And through that CRPL, our MTS and MDiv students will engage in a structure of coursework, mentoring, experiential learning, and final projects. Students pursuing the CRPL explore the challenges and opportunities that arise when a nuanced understanding of religion is employed within a particular professional or vocational arena of focus, such as education, journalism, government, community organizing, humanitarian action, and entertainment and media. The certificate is designed to prepare HDS graduates with the tools, skills, and experience to explore professional pathways outside of traditional ministry or academic scholarship. And finally, in addition to our 4 degree programs, we offer a non-degree program called the Special Student Program, which affords a one-time opportunity for non-degree seeking students to do coursework at HDS. Students in this category may enroll for a maximum of 8 courses for credits within a 2-year period. This pathway might be a good option for someone whose academic record doesn't match their abilities, or for someone making a career change who wishes to bolster their application before applying to a degree program. And now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Margaret, who will talk a little bit more about our curriculum and faculty at HDS.
Thanks so much, Alessandra. Now I'm so excited to talk about our outstanding faculty. Harvard Divinity School's Faculty of Divinity are among the most distinguished scholars of religion and practitioners of ministry in the world. With over 85 faculty and guest lecturers teaching more than 200 courses every year, our faculty includes some of the world's top scholars of Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, and many other traditions. Faculty members are the primary academic advising resources at HDS for students. As you can see on the slide, 67% of the faculty are women faculty and or faculty of color. 40% specialize in non-Christian traditions, again, really going in deep into our expertise of world religions. We have 12 denominational counselors, which support our MDiv students specifically, who are seeking ordination in a specific Christian religion or other religious tradition. And really, you'll see our faculty that are more than 85 have real strength in the 5 major religious traditions of the world, including others, as well as others. In addition to the 200 courses offered at HDS, students also have access to courses across the entire of Harvard University, as well as through the Boston Theological Interreligious Consortium. The BTI offers online course registration for classes taught at any BTI school. The 10-member schools offer over 800 courses taught by 400 faculty members. So this will include Boston University Divinity School, Boston College School of Theology and Ministry. So really, it's such a wealth of resources that our students are able to take advantage of. For the MDiv and MTS students, 50% of their coursework can be completed outside of HDS, so students can truly customize their HDS experience to create their unique path through the program and get the preparation each student needs for their goals. And if none of the thousands of courses available fit the bill, students can also work directly with HDS faculty to do an independent study. It's safe to say that no 2 HDS students have the same transcript. There are opportunities to undertake research and research grants through the Center of the Study of World Religions, who brings speakers and scholars from around the world into a residential think tank for the study of world religions. The Women's Study in Religion program is a phenomenal resource, brings in scholars who research and teach about a particular role of women in the world's religious traditions. Our summer language program is amazing, which offers an 8-week intensive program in language study designed specifically for the curriculum in theological and religious studies. Folks interested in doctoral work are really interested in taking advantage of that. Our program on religion and public life partners with citizens, artists, and professionals in all the fields to advance the public understanding of religion in the service of cultivating a just world at peace. Folks would also have access to the Pluralism Project at Harvard University, documents the contours of our multi-religious society, exploring new forms of interfaith engagement, studying the impact of religious diversity in civic life, and contextualizing these findings within a global framework. And then finally, the program for the evolution of spirituality, which was launched only 3 years ago, and it supports the scholarly study of emerging spirituality movements, marginalized spiritualities, and the innovative edges of established religious traditions. So you can see we really do have a wealth of opportunities for students to engage academically here. And an academic experience is only one part of an HDX experience. The other has to do around being a student and the community you'll find here. So you can see the average sort of the information listed. We're bringing in 79 students into the MTS program, which is our larger program, 50 into the Master Divinity program, which is sort of smaller, a little bit smaller, 12 into the MRPL, which is a cohort-based sort of executive program, which brings in fewer students. And then only 1 into our THM and 4 into the special student non-degree program. This year, our incoming class has 35 traditions represented among them and 49 languages spoken. You'll find that women make up the majority of our student body, with 54% women, as well as our students are coming from a wide range of academic institutions. So it's not just that HDS students come from a small group of elite institutions. We really are seeking students from a wide range of academic backgrounds. And so in the incoming class are 113 different academic institutions represented among them, really talking about the diversity of backgrounds folks are coming from. The age range you will see is 20 to 71. Our school does range on the younger side, which I believe the median age is 29 or so, but we definitely have students coming for their third or fourth career. And we are very inclusive of that as well. We offer, in terms of student life, there are 3 student-run publications. The Graduate Journal of Harvard Divinity School is a peer-reviewed student-run publication dedicated to featuring the best of graduate writing in the study of religion. There's Reconstructed magazine, founded by Black, queer, and Shia Muslims. The magazine assumes our humanity and uplifts those who have been most marginalized within and outside of the Muslim Ummah, including Black Muslims, LGBTQIA Muslims, converts, reverts, disabled Muslims, Shia Muslims, and more. They curate an experience that honors diverse artistic practices. Then there's Peripheries, a nonprofit literary and arts journal established in 2017 that publishes artistic work that is broadly understood, peripheral work that explores the interstices between discourses, traditions, languages, forms, and genres. In the spirit, along with publishing poetry, visual art, and short stories, their scope is expansive, including translations, interviews, creative nonfiction, reviews, aphorism, recipes, instructions, and manifestos. In addition, the Office of Student Life coordinates 2 weekly school-wide events. The first is Noon Service. It's hosted every Wednesday at noon. It's hosted by a different religious community of the HDS campus, led by a committee of students. Each service begins and ends with ritual elements and a choir. Then there's afternoon tea or community tea, which take place most Tuesdays from 4 to 5:30. Community tea offers a chance for students, faculty, and staff to engage in informal conversation over beverages and food. It's a time to relax, refuel, and reconnect with the community in an informal way. And then there's also other affinity groups across Harvard University that students would be able to take advantage of, and really expand their sort of the ways that which they can build community here during their time with us. The Office of Student Life supports over 40 student organizations every year, and it's easy to start one if there's not an existing club that with your specific interests. So some examples of existing student clubs include the HDS Divine Comedy Club, HDS BEE Club, HDS&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and Magic Paths. These student organizations host over 60 student-led events each year, in addition to the over 500 recurring events, which include weekly worship services hosted by faith-based student organizations. And now Alessandra will talk to you about our alumni.
Thank you, Margaret. All right, so we have our Office of Career Services, which provides extensive resources and services to support our HDS students and alumni in achieving their professional goals. So current HDS students may sign up for career consultations to help with professional planning and credentialing strategies, networking assistance, skill gap assessments, interview preparation and coaching, or preparation for salary negotiation. Our Office of Career Services also has a unique and a treasured resource for HDS students, the HDS Alumni Career Stories and Advice Video Library. This collection features interviews with over 200 MDiv and MTS alumni and includes over 500 videos highlighting an impressive array of HDS graduates' careers. Primary career fields for alumni who are 1 year out. So 22% of our alumni enter the education, university, college teaching, or research fields. 17% of our alumni that are 1 year out will pursue ordained ministry. 9% who are 1 year out will pursue secondary school or other educational field. And 6% of them will pursue university administration. And another 6% will pursue nonprofit management and consulting. 5% go into business, 5% go into law, 3% go into community development, advocacy, or social services, 2% pursue writing, and 1% pursue lay ministry. To chat a little bit about MDiv outcomes here, about 53% of our MDiv will pursue ministerial vocations, including ordained orders, lay ministry, and chaplaincy, and about 23% of them will pursue the educational sector via secondary school teaching, university teaching, and university administration. Regarding our MTS, approximately half of them will work in the education sector, primarily university teaching and administration, but also secondary school teaching and administration. Another 34% of our MTS graduates are medical, legal, and management professionals employed in nonprofits, the public sector, healthcare and human services, and writing communications. So this slide here just shows you a very small array of what our alumni go off to do with an HDS degree. So now I'm going to highlight 4 alumni features or profiles so that you get a sense of that richness and variety of what can be done with an HDS degree. So first we have John Camardella, who is a Master of Religion and Public Life alumnus of 2022. So prior to coming to Harvard Divinity School, John studied history at Illinois Wesleyan and has taught at a large public high school near Chicago since 2003. While he was at HDS, he developed a comprehensive religious literacy training program for public school administrators and educational leaders. He chose HDS because of our structure and flexibility of the MRPL program, and he felt it was the perfect opportunity for him to take a 1-year sabbatical, and he also felt that our faculty and professors at HDS were outstanding. Since graduating from HDS, he returned to the classroom and is now training public high school leaders and offering graduate courses in religious studies designed specifically for educators. So that's John Camardella. Next, we have Kalpana Jain, who graduated with the Master of Theological Studies in 2017. Kalpana originally came from India, where she was a journalist with the Times of India, where she had covered public health in India and written a book on the devastation from HIV/AIDS, where she had met and interviewed hundreds of people near the end of their lives. These stories had really moved her, but the work also burnt her out, and she was looking for a deeper understanding through academic life. She was also a Nieman Fellow here at Harvard prior to coming to Harvard Divinity School, which introduced her to our scholars and our courses at HDS, and she really wanted to immerse herself in the study of religion. So while she was here at HDS, she focused on South Asian traditions and particularly enjoyed studying with the late Anne Monius, Professor Clooney, Professor Diana Eck, and Professor Parimal Patil. She selected Harvard Divinity School in particular because she was interested in reading Indian religious texts on gender to understand some of the issues that she had been covering earlier. She wanted to understand the politics of Hindu nationalism, where it was coming from, and what was missing in this political construction of Hindu traditions. She also took a reading and research course on Jainism and learned a lot by working with Professor Monius about her own tradition. And finally, after attending HDS, she is currently working as a senior ethics and religion editor at The Conversation and is also the director of the Global Religion Journalism Initiative, where they partner with the Associated Press and Religion News Service on building good religion journalism. Kalpana will specifically work with scholars and commission and coach them to write for a broader public. So that is what Kalpana is doing today. Next, we have Vanessa Zoltan, which graduated with an MDiv in 2015. Vanessa earned a bachelor's in English literature and minor in creative writing from the Washington University in St. Louis, where she worked as a teacher and an education nonprofit before coming to Harvard Divinity School at 30 years old. While she was at Harvard Divinity School, she wanted to be a hospital chaplain, but her pathway changed while here. She hasn't really done too much hospital chaplaincy since graduating, but she did host our Harry Potter and the Sacred Text podcast, which was a real hit while she was here. She decided on HDS because it felt like the only place that she could learn to be a chaplain as an atheist. And since graduating from HDS, Vanessa has run a small company called Not Sorry Productions, focused on treating secular things as if they were sacred. So that's Vanessa. And then our final alumni profile here is Stephen Salido Fisher, who graduated with an MDiv in 2021. Prior to Harvard Divinity School, Stephen worked in disaster response for the Red Cross of Alaska, where he met a state trooper chaplain. While he was at HDS, he wanted to focus in on hospital chaplaincy, and he chose HDS because of the generous financial aid that he received, and he was also mesmerized by the breadth of interests, identities, and life stories among our student body. And since graduating from HDS, he took up beekeeping professionally for a summer, and then he pursued a CPE residency at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago, and today works as a campaign writer for a faith-based environmental nonprofit. So that's our wonderful panel here of alum profiles. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Margaret so she can talk to you about the actual application process for our degree programs.
Thanks so much, Alessandra. So now that you've heard so much about our degree programs, about our school, about the student life here and alumni profiles, I hope now you're all excited to consider submitting an application. So I'm really excited to walk you through the process. The application to our degree programs opens every year in mid-September and closes the first week of January. We conduct interviews to a subset of the applicant pool in late January, early February, and release all admissions decisions by mid-March. If admitted, candidates will be notified of their financial aid packages, if awarded, within 24 hours of receiving their admissions offer. So you can see all of that information on that cool timeline at the bottom of the slide. And so now I'm going to talk to you about the different application components. The first being the application form, which again will become available in early September or mid-September. In addition, the statement of purpose, we ask that is double size 12 font of no more than 1,000 words in length, approximately 3 to 4 pages. And it should include your general background and how this background has prepared you for graduate theological study. So we're asking you to talk about your education background, your work experience, volunteer work, and or any other relevant personal experience. We want to ask you about, we'll ask you for your vocational or career objectives in the context of theological study, really telling us what are your goals for pursuing a graduate degree in the study of religion. And then we're asking for the specific reasons why you believe there is a good fit between your objectives and the HDS degree program. Basically, we're asking you, why are you applying to HDS? You know, just give us the case as to why you feel like HDS is a good fit for you and what you want to achieve. MRPL students will not be submitting a statement of purpose. Instead, they provide us with a project proposal. So MRPL students will complete a final project that engages in the topic of religion within their profession. And the final project may take one of the more of the 3 forms, which is a portfolio addressing a particular theme in the intersection of religion and your profession. It could be 2 smaller papers or 1 large paper, but we're asking that you spend some time thinking about how you actually would be able to use the 9 months here at HDS during the course of the program, and what is the project that you hope to accomplish by the end of it. In addition, we ask everybody to submit a resume, which we ask that is no longer than 1 to 2 pages and should include a chronological list of significant positions held, any research or publications or fellowships or scholarships, academic prizes or honor societies, or any other pertinent experience. We ask that you include relevant extracurricular, volunteer, or other activities, as well as service experiences. In addition, we ask that students submit transcripts from each post-secondary institution attended, which includes any school at Harvard, showing all undergraduate and graduate work are required. In addition, HDS Admissions requires 3 letters of recommendation. The letters should address your intellectual abilities and promise for graduate study in religion, theology, or ministry. At least 2 of these letters should be solicited from college, university, or seminary professors who have taught you and are well acquainted with your academic qualifications. Applications to the MDiv program must include a letter that speaks to your ministerial promise. Then in addition, a writing sample is required of MDiv, MTS, THM, and MRPL applicants only. This writing sample should demonstrate your academic writing ability and should be no more than 1,500 words, approximately 5 to 7 pages in size 12 font, double-spaced. You can choose to submit an excerpt of an academic paper in any subject area within the humanities or social sciences. So if you are a current college senior and you're seeking to apply, or a recent graduate, you can potentially choose something that you've already submitted, potentially an excerpt of your thesis or another paper, and that fits our needs and shows that you have the academic writing abilities within the humanities or social sciences. It can be an adapted piece of professional writing, particularly for some professionals who may be writing in as part of their work. And then finally, you can also choose to submit an original work that is based upon a topic that you are interested in studying here at HDS. This in particular might be of interest to those who have been out of an educational environment for a while. So let's say maybe it's been more than 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years since you were in an academic classroom. That's not a problem. You can use the writing sample requirement as an opportunity for you to try writing an academic paper like the one that you would be potentially interested in writing here at HDS. Grad school requires a lot of reading and writing, so this is a really great way to get your feet wet if it's been a while since you were in a classroom. In addition, applicants must submit official TOEFL scores or IELTS scores, which are the test of English as a foreign language, or the International English Language Testing System, when their native language is not English or when their bachelor's degree is not from an institution where English is the sole medium of instruction. So that is if English is your native language, or if the primary language from the institution that you received your bachelor's degree from is from an English medium institution, then you're not required to provide us with either a TOEFL or an IELTS. TOEFL and IELTS scores are considered official only when the official score report is sent to HDS Admissions directly from ETS or IELTS. So we don't accept any of this from students directly. Finally, an interview is required for admission to our 4 graduate degree programs: MDiv, MTS, MRPL, and THM. Select candidates will be invited to a 15-minute virtual interview with a member of the HDS admissions staff. Please note that an interview invitation does not guarantee admission to our degree programs. All official decisions will be released in mid-March. And now that I've spoken to you about the application for admission, I'm handing it over to Alessandra to speak about financial aid.
All right, so the admissions office here at HDS operates on a need-blind basis, which means that we have no awareness of your financial circumstances at the time of your application review. Instead, our partner, the Office of Financial Aid, will reach out to all applicants to the MTS and MDiv programs once they have submitted their applications sometime in mid-January with information on how to apply for need-based aid. So, HDS does offer generous institutional grant aid for students in the Master of Divinity and the Master of Theological Studies programs. Approximately 90% of MDiv and MTS students will receive some sort of institutional grant aid, the vast majority of which is need-based. As you can see here, we have 3 levels of need-based aid available. The minimum that we cover if you qualify for need-based aid is 3/4 tuition or 75% tuition. Then our next tier is 100% or full tuition. And finally, for those with more need, we do cover full tuition plus a $12,000 living expense stipend. We do also have a very small pool of merit aid that is awarded by the HDS Admissions Office on the basis of the overall strength of an application. So earlier I mentioned that 90% of our MDiv and MTS students receive grant aid. Of those 90%, only 10% of those 90 will receive a merit aid scholarship. And so if a merit aid scholarship is awarded, it will typically include a full tuition grant and a modest stipend that will range anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000. And if awarded a merit aid scholarship, it will be included directly within the offer of admission letter. If a student is awarded need-based aid, that information will become available to them within 24 hours of receiving their offer of admission. Because merit aid is so limited, we do strongly encourage everyone to submit a financial aid application to be considered for need-based aid. And that brings us to a close. Thank you all again for staying with us through this presentation. We hope that if there are any follow-up questions that you send us an email at admissions@hds.harvard.edu. And in addition, we encourage you to connect with current students as well who can chat a little bit more about our student life. And you can email them directly at ask_students@hds.harvard.edu. We also have a wonderful blog at hdsadmissionsblog.com, where they publish about 6 to 8 posts per month covering different aspects of student and community life. We also have a very active Instagram account at Harvard Divinity. And finally, a QR code on the top right corner here of our slide where you can stay connected with us through our HDS Connect form. If you fill that out, you will be on our email listserv, and we will contact you each time there's an important update to share, such as when our application launches this fall. Thank you all so much for joining us again for our presentation today.